What's the point of managers? Like, seriously, I'm an IT tech. I don't need a manager, I just do IT stuff. Well, look, the reality is you need the IT manager to sort of set the stage, to do the strategy, to make sure that things are working well, to be ultimately accountable, right? Accountable is like something goes pear-shaped, something goes wrong, somebody has to be blamed. And normally the managers are the ones who are blamed. And if they're investing all this money in stuff and then things don't go well, the IT manager is the person who's going to cop it. Hey, if you love this channel, love it if you click on the subscription button, click on the bell down below so that you don't miss out on anything. We talk about all things tech, and really great if you follow along. It can get frustrating to just get confidence that all of your tech is running healthy, that it's up, that it's down. You need to know about all of that, right? You've got all these networking devices, you've got servers, you've got all of this tech that you need to monitor. And this is where a great tool that I came across called Pulseway will come in super helpful. So your servers, your networking, your end user devices, your IoT devices, your smart devices, your video conferencing equipment, essentially anything that has an IP address, you can add it right into Pulseway, make sure that it's all running well. I love the fact that you can open up your laptop and you can see exactly how things are going. You can download an app from the App Store, from your Apple, from your Google, and actually get full confidence from the app directly how things are going. Get a 20% discount. Down below, I've got a link in this video description. Go and try it out. Never again be in the dark when it comes to monitoring your IT tech. Go check out Pulseway. A little bit about myself. I started off as a tech, which most managers do start off that way. They start off as a tech, and I love tech. I love tech. And you know, this is the one thing that I always would recommend people who are exploring management, or people who already are managers. Don't lose the spark. The reason that you got into tech in the first place was because you enjoyed tech, right? That's ultimately why I got into tech. I love the tech. I didn't get into tech to become a manager. I got into tech because I love the tech. So as a result of that, I've made it a thing in my career. Now that I've moved into management and been in management for a long time, senior positions, I've made it a goal for myself to remain technical, because that's why I got into tech in the first place. I loved tech, and hey, I remain technical even though I'm in management. Let's just use the umbrella term here of IT manager. The IT manager is somebody who is ultimately responsible for all of the tech. In a business, let's say in a small company, there's maybe a network engineer or a systems engineer or a services person or something like that, and then there's a manager. Or maybe they're the same person. Maybe the manager is also the systems person. And they're the ones who are ultimately responsible for all of technology. They look after everything in tech, all of the operations, staff, the building of computers, the setting up of servers, the setting up of switches, the security, the negotiating with vendors, the procurement of stuff. They do lots of stuff. And it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming to have one IT manager doing all of that. So as you find the bigger the company, when you move into medium size, into bigger, larger size businesses, they're going to split the role up. They're going to split the role up where there's not necessarily now a IT manager doing everything. There's maybe a pool of managers that are responsible for specific areas. There's somebody who is IT operations manager. There's somebody who is IT infrastructure manager. Other managers could be the development manager, somebody who's responsible for the dev side of things, for the mobile apps, for the websites, that sort of stuff. The service desk manager, responsible for the day-to-day service desk, logging of tickets, all of that sort of stuff. The security manager, cybersecurity manager, they're responsible for security, right? So on and so forth. Let's go first with the operations manager. Now, the operations manager is responsible for the day-to-day BAU. So I mentioned the service desk manager before. Some places will have the service desk manager is also the operations manager. They're now responsible for all the end user computers. The staff, they're the ones who are making sure that all staff have got all the tech that they need. They're onboarding, they're offboarding staff. They are making sure that all the software is loaded. Now when I say they're not actually doing it, right? They've got techs who are doing this, but they're ultimately responsible for all the BAU operations, right? Making sure that all the lights stay on, that people, staff, customers are happy. So they're accountable around SLAs, making sure they're hitting certain SLAs. Tickets that have been logged, critical, high, medium, low tickets that are logged into some sort of a ticketing platform, they're responsible. Again, the service desk manager, the help desk manager could be doing that too, but it also could be the operations manager. So they're also looking after, as I mentioned, staff. Sometimes they're going to be responsible for people management, management of techs to make sure that they are doing their best job. One manager can't do it all. So in a bigger company, the manager is just managing a team of people to make sure that the operations are working well, right? Now, we mentioned end user compute, super important. I mean, outside of computers, you've got the printers, you've got audio visual equipment, you've got the phones, you've got all of that sort of stuff. But then sometimes the operations manager is also responsible for the network server side of things. Little sneak peek, infrastructure manager is more specialized in this area, but sometimes the operations manager is also responsible for making sure that the overall operations of the network and the servers are also up, that they are being maintained, that they are being administered correctly. So that comes back to system performance, the monitoring, the security of all of those platforms, not just the end users, but now the infrastructure side of things as well. The networking switches, the routers, the firewalls, the storage, what did I miss? The servers, right? The UPSs, the load balancers, the proxies, there's lots, right? CCTV, IoT, heaps of stuff. So they're making sure that the day-to-day operations are there, right? We need to make sure that the lights stay on. The lights need to stay on. So staff need to be able to access everything that they need from an IT perspective, and the IT operations manager needs to make sure that that happens. And then as a contrast, and we'll go back to the operations manager in a little while, you've got the infrastructure side of things. And this is now the infrastructure manager, and they are now a little bit more specialized, focused on infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, we're talking about here the level 3 side of things. This is the systems, the networking, the security, making sure that the databases are working well, make sure that all the servers are racked, the servers are patched, the servers are built, the virtual servers, the cloud servers, all the networking gear, the switches, the firewalls, the routers. I mentioned all of that sort of stuff in the operation side, but this is now more specialized. The infrastructure manager is not as in the detail from an operations perspective. They now need to maintain and ensure that all of the infrastructure, the comms rooms, the data centers are all schmick, they're all working well. And similarly to the operations manager, they're also maybe managing a team of infrastructure specialists, network system engineers and administrators. They're going to be maybe managing some cybersecurity people if they're responsible for security as well, perhaps database administrators, also Linux people, cloud experts, Mac engineers, people who are more specialized in the infrastructure space. Now, both roles, because they're management roles, as I said, they're accountable for certain things, but they also, because it's a management role, they're also responsible for the strategic side of things. They may be together with other managers, with other C-level, with other IT directors, etc., working on strategy, making sure that they have a roadmap in place around their speciality, right? They're making sure that they're putting together a 3-year roadmap on these are the things that we want to achieve in the business from an operations perspective or from an infrastructure perspective. Always forward thinking, forward looking. Then you've got all the governance side of things, making sure that policies are in place, that documentation is in place, that everything there is working well. Now, both of these roles will be responsible for incidents, right? Things go wrong. Well, is it a staff member issue or is it a server issue? Sometimes a ticket will be logged by a staff member saying, I've lost access to the server. I can't access the server. The operations manager and their team will look into it and go, that looks weird. The server doesn't appear to be up. And then they're getting tickets from everywhere. I can't access the server. All right. Then they delegate it, they escalate it up over to the infrastructure manager and the infrastructure manager's team, where they now do the troubleshooting from the server side. What's going on with the server? Does the server need to be rebooted? Needs to be brought back online? Whatever, right? That's the sort of the differences there. But both are also responsible again for security. Cybersecurity needs to be at the forefront of every IT manager's vision, right? They have to be thinking about security all the time. The operations manager, day-to-day BAU operations security. How can I make sure that my end users are secure, that they're doing the right thing? Infrastructure, a little bit more complicated. They're now making sure that the firewalls are strict, that they're locked down, that the servers are patched, that they're protected, that there's intrusion protection stuff, that there's proxies in place, that only the right traffic is allowed in, other traffic is not allowed in. The infrastructure manager security role is a little bit, well, I shouldn't say a little bit, significantly more, like they need a lot more responsibility because they're ultimately accountable for a lot more, because this is now the core network. All the data sits on the tech that the infrastructure manager is managing. Now again, because they're both managers, they're doing the strategy stuff, they're doing the roadmaps, they're doing the governance, but they're also responsible potentially for budgets, making sure that budgets are in place for their stuff. If they have the next 12 months, well, I need to put stuff in my IT budget for the next 12 months to buy this new server stuff. The operations person, I need to buy this new ticketing system to make sure that it's working well. I need to invest in SCCM, I need to invest more in the Microsoft 365 stack, whatever it is, right? They're responsible for the day-to-day budgets because they're going to be responsible and accountable for the money that is spent in their departments. So if I could sum it up very, very easily, the operations manager, BAU, business as usual, but day-to-day stuff, a little bit more maybe short-term. We need to just respond to stuff. They're against SLAs. People are logging tickets. People are getting grumpy. They need to get stuff fixed. They need to make sure that the lights are kept on. The infrastructure person is a little bit more long-term, thinking about the future, thinking about the big picture stuff, thinking a bit more architecturally, engineering-wise. The big infrastructure side of things, very, very important. Now, the reality is, if the infrastructure manager is doing their job and they've invested in the right tech and the tech is modern, robust, secure, scalable, uptime, secure, did I say secure? Making sure that there are multiple links, multiple redundancy in place, all of that sort of stuff. If all of that is working well, the operations manager, in a perfect world, should have a little bit of an easier job. They could be potentially putting out less fires because the underlying infrastructure is working a little bit better, because they did their job. It's a teamwork effort. What do you think? Did I miss anything? Let us know down below in the comments. I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff because these roles are so diverse, so complex. Sometimes they're gonna be like switched over and the infrastructure manager still does operation stuff. I don't know, it can be a bit of a mess, but that's the clearest blurry line that I can paint between the two of them. Like this video, if you did like it, subscribe as well, click on the button on the bell. We'll see you on the next video.